Today, during this week, we are going to focus on the different instruments that can be used. By instruments, I mean policy instruments that can be used to control emissions. And we are going to compare, several market and non-market based type of instruments to find out, which one is the most cost effective, and also talk about situations in which one instrument can be more effective than the other. So to begin with, we acknowledge that the instruments to control emissions, for example, could be classified under two heads. So one is the non-market based instrument, right? And the other is the market-based instrument. So non-market based instrument, oops, so non-market based instrument, let me get rid of this bit, it became too thick. So I'll just quickly erase this. Okay, that's good. So non-market based, oops, non-market based versus market based. So by non-market based instruments, we mean command and control type, right? And you have seen examples of this before, for example, technology and performance standards. So setting, or in other words, setting some kind of emissions standards. Okay. While market-based instruments, as we will see, these instruments try to internalize the externalities. So emissions taxes, and they build some kind of an incentive system and emissions trading. So we are going to compare emission standards, right, with emissions taxes and emissions trading, and then we are also going to compare emissions taxes with emissions trading, and then discuss a little bit about different situations under which we may have to resort to emission standards, although it may not be the most cost effective way. Okay, so we are going to start with a simple example. Okay, and you can go back to the PowerPoint slides and look at these examples as well, right? So the example that we are considering is that we are assuming there are two emission sources, so two sources that are emitting these pollutants, and each is source, so source 1 and 2, and each source is emitting 15 units. So source 1 is emitting 15 units of emissions. Source 2 is also emitting 15 units. So total is 30 units. Okay. So now we have to cut down emissions to a total of 15 units total, right? So that means reduce by 50%, right? Previously, emissions level at 30 units, we want to cut it down to 15 units. Okay, so how do we do that? So basically, our problem is to how to achieve these 15 units. So this target of 15 units at the minimum cost. Okay, so let's look in the next few videos. How can we do it with these different types of control measures, and which one proves to be the most cost efficient? And first of all, so in doing that, first we have to understand, what is this cost efficiency? How do we know that the sources that we're talking about, source 1 and 2, they have been able to minimize cost? Is there a condition that will tell us that yes, cost, the total cost of controlling emission is minimal here at this level of emissions? Okay, so let's continue to the next video.